Good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. Welcome into On the Hunt tonight, where we are going on the hunt for Dogman, of course. Well, and other cryptids as well. We're going to get into a conversation tonight about hunting dogmen and other cryptids as well. The dangers behind it, what's happened to people when they have shot at one, and all that kind of stuff. We've got a lot to discuss tonight. And of course, I have my good friend Mark Machek is here with us again tonight. I'm super excited about this. And I can guarantee y'all, we always have a great show when Mark is here. And so buckle up, y'all. We are going down some rabbit holes, but we're just doing real talk tonight. Okay, this is going to be one of those real talk kind of nights. And I actually was out in the field a little bit today. I was out in the deep woods. I went to Alabama today, y'all. And even took my dog this time, and did a little bit of tracking and stuff. Maybe we'll talk about that later. It was good. It was a lot of fun. And so, yes, if I have ticks crawling out of my hair today, just ignore them, everyone. Okay. Because I didn't have time to, pull the ticks off of me before I started the show tonight. So anyways, if you guys want to follow along with all of my shows, and yeah, I don't have pictures of me. I was going to say, I got pictures and everything, some with ticks in my hair. I'm just kidding. Go over to my website. That's the cryptidhuntress.com. And you can find links to all my social media sites there on my website, including my Patreon as well, and my shop. It's called War Woman Goods. And I have some events coming up. I will be at the Molina Bigfoot Festival coming up in November, on November the 8th. Y'all please come see me at that. It's one of the best small town Bigfoot festivals in the South. Okay, so come see me at that. And also coming up in about 2 or 3 weeks, I think it's in 2 weeks, I'm going to be at the Super Soldier Activation Conference down in Orlando, Florida. So if you are going to that, please get your tickets now. They've still got some early bird specials, according to James. I think the early bird ends on October 1st. So please come get your tickets and book your rooms and come see us down there in Orlando. It'll be a great time. Okay, y'all. Well, let's get to our show tonight. This is going to be a good one. Okay, tonight we are going on the hunt with Kentucky resident and longtime Land Between the Lakes area hunter and cryptid field researcher, Mark Machek. We're going to be talking about hunting dogmen and other cryptids. Field researchers have long been instructed to never shoot a Bigfoot or a dogman. But what happens if we do? Uh-oh. And could that be their last mistake? And could this account for some of the missing hunters, hikers, campers, and other people out of our national parks and on private land as well? Of course, we do have Mark Machek here. You guys know Mark. He's also known as Cryptidville. You can find him at cryptidville.com and on his YouTube channel, Cryptidville. Please help me welcome to the show, Mark Machek. Hey, Mark.
Good evening, Jessica. Thank you again for having me.
Well, of course. I just absolutely love it when you come on the show, and we have some wonderful conversations. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me again.
Well, of course. I hope you're having a great weekend. The weather is absolutely beautiful here in Georgia this weekend. How about in Kentucky?
Yeah, it's been nice here. Not going to hold my breath. It could change within the minute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It could here too.
It's like a radio dial. Just turn it a little bit. Wait a few minutes. The weather will change.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd never disclose where I'm going before I go. Okay. But I got to admit, y'all, I was planning on going camping with some like Wendell Mosley. I don't know if he's in the chat. I think he's camping tonight now with some people out in Alabama, my Alabama Bigfoot crew. And I was planning on going, and they canceled it last night because it was going to rain. And I think it may have probably did rain in Alabama. It didn't rain here till later in the night, but I was so sad. Anyways, I packed up and went this morning or this afternoon. I went out there anyways and did some tracking, took my dog and stuff, and just scouted out some spots. So, but yeah, shout out to everybody that's camping tonight. I'm jealous. I'm very jealous. I don't know, super jealous, but nonetheless, I got a lot of trips planned in the future, Mark. I don't know about you. You got any plans to go out to LBL? If y'all don't know, he lives up at the LBL in Kentucky, y'all.
Well, actually, my more activity time over there is going to be in the late winter months. And the reason for that is because, with the onset of October, that's when hunting season starts, and it does have the potential to become dangerous. And, you have a lot of people hunting over there, and then, you have, uncertain weather, and, it could be hot one day, cold the next, and it just sometimes isn't very conducive to, having a significant reduction in insect activity. So
Yeah.
I like the late winter months because you don't have all the insects, and you can actually hear things where you can't hear them in other times of the year.
Not only insects, but snakes, Mark. Snakes. That's a big thing I got to watch out for, especially down here. Well, I mean, in Kentucky, anywhere you go, snakes have been really bad this year. I've seen more snakes this year than ever.
Yeah, it is also their moving time here because, it's warm during the day and cools off at night. It's like currently, I think it was 66 degrees right now. So the temperature is dropping,
Mm-hmm.
and that will cause the snakes to seek out a warm spot. Generally, they'll head towards pavement or concrete because it holds the heat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rocks by the creeks too. That's a big one. And sometimes they'll slither in your sleeping bag. I'm just kidding. Be careful out there. Damien, that's a good point. Most people go missing in October and November because more hunters are out. That's interesting. It definitely would account for more hunters going missing, for sure. In these national parks and wildlife management areas, and probably on private land too, I would assume. But yeah, when you were talking about the weather, I was thinking, and I've been typing up some operational orders for some. I'm going out with my team at some point in the next couple of months. With those cryptid warfare guys, and so we were kind of getting an operational order together. And part of that operational order is I make sure I pin down like the weather. That's so important when we're out there doing these hunts. And I say hunt. It's an investigation. Okay, investigation, y'all. It's important to know the exact weather, the terrain, everything that you're going to be encountering out there. Even the insects, the snakes, the large animals, the small animals, all that needs to be listed when you're out there doing a research weekend or a research week. And I did want to note that I've been doing a lot of interviews lately, and more than normal. And I part of the inspiration for like wanting to talk about this tonight on my show is because somebody was interviewing me and they were assuming that like I go out and hunt dogmen, like mow them down or something. Okay. And I wanted to clarify that with everybody. I'm not out there hunting dogmen like that. Okay. So
get you some Dogman vittles.
I mean, it'd be nice to have a some sort of a trophy at some point, if something were to try to attack me. I don't know. I know that sounds terrible, but no, I don't do that. I'm a researcher. And so, yeah. So what do you think? What do you think, Mark?
I think people get the term confused
Mm-hmm.
when you use the word hunt. They see it as like hunting to kill, as opposed to like a treasure hunt, because
Yeah.
ultimately that's what it equates to, is more of a treasure hunt, uh, due to the simple fact that uh, actually seeing one is a lot harder uh, to have happen uh, than some would portray it to be.
Yes, it is. That's 100% right. Yeah. So yes, I'm basically a cryptid treasure hunter, y'all. It is a treasure. So, but yeah, I'm the cryptid huntress. Dave gave me that name, Dave Scott over at Space Out Radio, the cryptid huntress, and it kind of stuck, y'all. So, but yeah, I am not out there hunting them down, but I do. I listen. I do go out in the field sometimes with people who wouldn't mind hunting them. Okay, and honestly, when you're out there and you're doing cryptid field research, you have to be kind of prepared to protect yourself in situations and things like that. But yeah, we are not generally out there to hunt cryptids. Okay, and I want to thank Kent Baxter so much. Thank you for that super sticker, Kent. Jessica and Mark bringing the light to dark. Light to the dark. Light to dark. Light to the dark. Thank you, Kent. I appreciate that. Uh, that's very sweet of you. Thank you for your support, big time. Um, but yeah, Mark, what is the general consensus of people that are up there at the LBL? Because I know people go up there for a look for Dogman and stuff. Do you think people are up there just to investigate and to observe, or are they out there to actually go bag them and tag them?
Well, the one thing that you have to keep in mind when you're talking about the LBL, and I get it. I know that there are people that go there and they may be armed. I don't want to say that they are, because I don't always know for a fact that they are. But there's a lot more out there in the woods to worry about besides cryptids. And I wouldn't put it past uh, there being individuals who might feel that they have the need to attempt to do so in hunting to eliminate one of these creatures. Um, However, I would say that that's probably not going to turn out good for them.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Mark, do you remember? Okay, so I was a big fan of Art Bell Show. Okay, and Coast to Coast, and it was very rare to ever hear a story about anyone actually, shooting an animal like a cryptid, right? And one of my the most interesting and one of the most interesting stories that came off Art Bell was bugs out of Texas. Do you remember that? Did you ever
Yeah,
watch or listen? I mean,
yeah,
okay,
I remember. Well, my first knowledge of the whole bug story was I actually didn't hear about that from Art Bell, but I know that it was on the show. But I actually heard about
yeah,
that from another source in my earlier years of research, and
yeah,
very interesting story. I do know that there were some people that were going to. I think that bugs passed away a few years back, and there were some people that were trying to orchestrate him showing them where he buried those creatures,
yes,
and unfortunately, he passed away before that could actually happen.
yeah.
And yeah, so you know, I'm not going to say that it's not possible to take one of these things out, but I would be very hesitant in doing so for a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was one of the first things that I was taught while becoming a researcher is don't shoot. Okay, don't shoot them. See, I'm out there dealing mostly with Bigfoot, of course, and that was one of the main things I was always taught. And of course, when it comes to Dogman, I mean, I was told the same about Dogman as well. Do not shoot. Okay, do not shoot, and but be ready to protect yourself under any circumstance. Now, that when it came to the story of Bugs, now in case you guys are wondering who Bugs is exactly, Art Bill had a call-in show on Coast to Coast, and people would call in. This guy called in from Bug. He just called himself Bugs out of Texas. I believe he was a fur trapper. Do you remember that part, Mark? I think he was a fur trapper.
I don't recall that, but
Yeah,
I would say that at the minimum, he was an outdoorsman of some sort.
he was. I think he was a fur. He was getting furs, pelts, and stuff. And he came across a Bigfoot, and he shot it. They shot it. I think they thought that it was a grizzly bear or something. They thought it was a bear, and shot it. And we're tracking it and following the blood trail. And I guess it died. It was actually a Bigfoot. And when they got to it, there was a female with it, and the female charged at them, and they shot the female too. And so that's how the story went. He said they buried them. It was a big thing. You know, I'd never heard of anybody shooting one and burying it until I heard about that. Actually, I was given that as a coordinate remote viewing target to see if that actually was real. Like, I was actually assigned that as a remote viewing target at some point before I even knew what the story was. So, so that's how I learned. Actually, yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. So, but anyways, that's Bugs. Okay. And so, yeah, I don't know that. And I'm trying to remember where that happened at too. It had to have been like up in the north somewhere. Had to have been probably in Washington State. All the Bigfoot attacks, kidnappings seem to happen in Washington State. Okay. Washington, or like, what is that? British Columbia right above it. There's actually another case too, not only of Bugs, but of the Ape Canyon attack as well. So the Ape Canyon attack happened out of Washington, and those were some guys that actually were ended up shooting a Bigfoot. One of them shot one, and they went into a little cabin that night, and they were attacked all night in their cabin. Yeah, after they shot this Bigfoot. So I don't know if they actually killed the Bigfoot or they just shot it, but it was a rough night for those guys.
Oh yeah,
super rough. Yeah.
And then there's another scenario that took place in the southeast Oklahoma, where one of these things was. I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but anyways, the Bigfoot was coming in and was basically harassing the family, and they tried to fend it off by shooting at it, and ended up they drew in like a whole family group of these things, and it was like escalated into like a World War III type scenario. They were warring against them, actually trying to get them to go away. And yeah, it happens. Yeah. I'm sure that it has happened for a long time.
It has, and I think that's called the Siege of Hanobi. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm thinking that that's probably the incident that I'm talking about. The
Siege of Hanobia is what it looks like on paper, but my friend John Vendaventure lives there, and so he said it's Hanobi. It's not. You don't pronounce it how it's spelled, but and also there was one more story that I know of. My friend Fred Roll from subarctic Alaska Sasquatch. Yes, and shout out to Fred, and my condolences go out to Fred. I saw that he just posted something today about his father who passed away. So thoughts and prayers, and all my love headed out to Fred Roll tonight. But Fred and his uncle and his cousin, I believe, he told us about his encounter when he was younger, and I believe they ended up shooting a Bigfoot through a little cabin that they were staying in, like a little hunting shack or whatever. They got accosted like those men at the Ape Canyon attack, and I believe they ended up shooting one from what he was telling us. So really, really wild stuff. He said it was. I believe he said that was one of the scariest nights of his life, actually. Wow. And yeah. So you don't want to go up against a Bigfoot if you don't have to. And the way you're going to go up against one is if you shoot one, because all their friends are going to come and attack you probably.
Yeah, I think the old adage is, don't worry about the one that you can see, worry about the ones that you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because, excuse me, because they never travel alone.
Yes. You never know. what's lurking in the woods right behind it. Definitely. So yes, yes, we need to get Fred back on the show soon too. I need to get Fred back on whenever I can. Gene says that they travel in 3 or more, in packs of 3 or more, and I think that is definitely the case where I do my research, and probably the case all over the country. But yeah, there's never just one. There's never just one.
Unless you have a rogue.
Unless you have a rogue one. That's right. Well, what were we talking about? There was somebody that was on the show that was talking about how they run in packs. Oh gosh, all my shows start melding together, Mark, and I can't remember who said what. I do so many shows every week now. But somebody was talking about how Dogmen. Oh yeah, it was my friend. Okay, I know what it was. It was my good friend who was talking about because we talked about that last Saturday night with the Dogman assets being eliminated. That was our show. You came on and talked with that about me last week. And a friend of mine who used to do critter control, if y'all know what I mean, he's the one that gave me that information about the assets had been eliminated out of these programs, or that program at that time. And he said they had through that program they had determined that the Dogmen they had released into the general public basically had pack mentality and ran in packs. Okay, so I don't know. I'm assuming, okay, if those are the Dogmen that are in those programs that are doing that, then probably just Dogmen that aren't in the program are running in packs as well, I would assume.
Well, I think it's important to realize that, I know a lot of people, when they hear the term pack or pack mentality, they don't really understand what that is. And, if you look at wolves, when wolves are packed up and traveling as a pack, it's actually very interesting in how they operate, because what they'll do is they'll put
Sorry.
when they travel, they'll put the oldest and most infirm at the head of the line of the pack, and then they'll have younger ones in the middle, and then they'll have the beta at the very tail of it, and then the one that brings up the rear of the pack would be actually the alpha, because he's making sure that the whole pack is taken care of. So it's not actually I guess it is sometimes viewed as a bad thing, and it's not actually in wildlife and animal terms and terminology. It's not actually a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the leader of the pack is not always the strongest. That's what you're saying. So like I was thinking as you're saying that, have that song in my head from like the 1960s or something. It's called "The Leader of the Pack."
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of that. So the leader of the pack actually is in the very back. Mm-hmm. The leader's in the back. Yeah, that actually we kind of use that as part of our, I want to say, protocol, kind of when we're out in the field doing some field research and stuff. My buddy Tim, who passed away, he was a special forces military guy, and he always made sure he walked in the very back and kind of protected everybody back there when we'd be out hiking stuff at night. So yeah, it's all explained. I didn't realize what he was doing at the time back then. Okay, but yeah, it's just a matter of studying animal behavior. Whatever they're doing works, and it's very smart. It's very smart too, protecting the women, the children, and the elderly. Yeah, that's the way it should be, right?
That's the way it should be, not necessarily how it is.
Well, not these days, but no. Yeah, it should be. It should be. But yeah, I wonder if that's how the Dogmen roll as well. Okay, and I would assume so.
Could very well be.
Could be. They could be. I actually got some really cool pictures today. I was I've been using this AI. I try to do my AI with my thumbnails. I use AI for thumbnails. Mm-hmm. I got some good Dogman pictures today. Y'all check these out. I wanted to show the audience tonight. This is actually really cool. I'm trying like different AI programs and stuff, and man, that one. Look at these.
Oh wow.
I'm telling you something. This AI is scary. It's scary good. But this is what I assume. I mean, this is what I assume like a dogman would look like, other than it being. I mean, I think I may have seen a dogman. It didn't look anything like that. But this is more like a wolf-like dogman, I guess. And I think that's pretty badass, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Did that look kind of like what you saw? You because I remember one of your encounters. You said that it was like almost the color of a deer, right?
Yeah, well, its muzzle. It, I guess you could say it looked kind of like that,
Mm-hmm.
but its muzzle had a lot of white on it,
Okay.
and then when it shifted its head, I could see that it had those stripes on its side of its muzzle, like
Yeah.
war
Like
paint
hands.
almost. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the weirdest thing that I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it had to been like cartoonish kind of, and
Yeah,
that keeps coming up. Like when people are telling me about their encounters, whatever happened, it seemed almost cartoonish because it didn't seem real.
yeah, it was very had a very cartoony kind of feel to it, and very
Cartoony.
very weird.
Oh my gosh. Skip Bassford, thank you so much. Great show as always. Thank you for your support, Skip. I'm so glad you're here tonight. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Uh, yeah, that's something that I hear often. And that those two things that I saw on the road. I actually was going to go there today. I was going to pass by where I had seen those two potential dogmen, whatever that was that I saw in Alabama that night, and
Mhm.
and it turned out I was way farther away from it than I thought.
Wow.
Apparently, that the whole Talladega area is gigantic, and I was on one end of it. And if I had gone to the other end, it would have taken me an hour and a half to drive there.
Wow.
I was shocked. I was like, because I was planning on actually going down there when I got to where the group was, like the Alabama Bigfooters, and but I didn't actually make it to their camp. I went somewhere else on purpose. I had something else to do today, but it was almost an hour and a half. I mean, that's a long way. These national forests are gigantic. They're really big, um, and windy roads and stuff, I guess. So I
Mhm.
was a little disappointed. I didn't have time today to go see where those dogmen were. I'll go another day.
Yeah,
But
it it's it's hard to really comment on that because it's either 50-50. Either when you get there, you're either just going to see the area, or you're going to see the area and you're going to encounter something. It's either it is or it isn't kind of thing.
mhm,
And you know more often it's the isn't.
mhm. Yes, Inez, it's
Irregardless of what you may hear.
yeah, right. Stories people tell. Yes, Inez, they're saying animated. Okay, yeah, and that brings up the question too, Mark. It's like the things that we're seeing. Okay, like I know this is a weird little rabbit hole here, but um, could these things, some of the things that we're seeing, I mean, be so outside of the box of what like we would normally see. Like most people don't see a dogman or a werewolf in everyday life, right? That it just seems to be cartoonish. Or could there be something to that? Like maybe they're, I hate to say, like holograms or something. Okay, that sounds totally wacky, right? But like, what if they're not? What if they're not totally real? You know what I
Well,
mean?
I think the important thing to remember with these things is, you know, if you look at the historical account, through history we have reports of uh, dog-headed men, and you have the classical, werewolf that is the result of either being bitten by another werewolf or the result of dark magic, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have Dogman, which breaks breaks into two more further categories of the result of dark magic or um, possibly, something that's lab created. And I think
Hmm.
that it's important to observe those differences because of the simple fact that, you know, um, if you're looking at the ones that are the result of dark magic and the ones that are lab created, uh, there is uh, a an element, an evil demonic element to that, whether it exhibits evil demonic attributes once it's out there roaming around.
Oh,
You may have a encounter where nothing happens. You just see it and it goes its own way and does its own thing. But at the end of the day, it's important to recognize that you know what's actually holding these things together. If they're lab created and they're created, CRISPR gene editing between humans and wolves, or they're created out of the result of dark magic. There's that demonic element that's present in both of them because of the simple fact that when they're created from dark magic, they're using that dark magic or demonic element to form these things. If they're lab created, in my opinion, and I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm saying the melding of those genomes creates holes in their DNA makeup and their overall makeup that makes them susceptible to uh, demonic possession at a higher rate. And but that doesn't necessarily um, mean that they're 100% totally evil. That because of the retention of the human aspects of their genetics. So um, I think it's important to recognize that because let's say if you're going out in the woods and you're hunting with these things, you know, if you're if you're hunting and you don't realize it, you're hunting the ones that are the result of dark magic or genetic engineering. If they're held together uh, by evil forces, I think that it's important for a person to be in the right place to be able to to deal and cope with that because at the end of the day, I mean, if you look at demonic possession as a root thing, when you call upon a priest and you have him come to cast out a demon out of somebody, you know that's not a light undertaking because you're dealing with something that at the end of the day has a disdain and hatred for humanity, and its goal is to defeat humanity and put humanity into submission. So they're going to use everything at their disposal to try to trick you, get you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, have thoughts that you wouldn't normally have, and you know make you question God. Make you question your salvation if you're saved. All those things are going to come into play when you're dealing with those things, and just thinking that you're going to roll up on one of these things and pop it, that may not that may not be all there is to it.
it's not that easy. It's not that simple, huh?
Well, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying that it may not be
Hmm.
all there is to it.
Yeah.
Because how many times, I've heard of this several times where you have cases where people are either working on a logging crew or on a film crew or out researching,
Hmm.
and they get drawn into this particular area and they just can't control themselves to stop themselves from going into these particular areas. So, to me, that leads me to believe that they're being lured into an area for a bad purpose. And,
Yes.
you know, in my opinion, that's not that's not the result of something that's not under some kind of demonic influence. So it's just and like I say, it's just my opinion. I don't claim to know everything, but I can tell you that through my own personal experience, I made the decision some time ago that things were uh, getting a little bit too much to deal with, and basically one day I had a little talk with the man upstairs, and I told him, I was like, "Look, if these things are not good and an abomination to you, if you, because at that point I don't really want to get into what all was going on, but there was a lot of stuff going on. And um, if you make them go away, I'll pretty much just stop looking for them." And I think that's the important thing that people need to realize is that when you're dealing with these things, yeah, if they're rolling up on you at your house and you feel the need to defend yourself, roll on with it and do what you got to do. But, you know, if they're coming around and they're not really doing anything but scaring you, or they're siphoning the loose or whatever from you, and they're draining your energy, and you want them to go away, if you want them to go away, you can make them go away. Don't ever let anybody tell you that there is nothing that you can do to get these things to go away, because they're speaking from a point or a place of ignorance. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a way that they just don't know. I guess is what I'm trying to say. But if you want them to go away, the steps to doing that are very simple. The first thing that you have to do, and I know we've heard this, if you rebuke them in the name of Jesus, they'll go away. If you ask God to make them go away, they'll go away. And we've heard that. And that is real. Very real. But there's also an element along with that the people that experience these things and have experienced these things going away, that they don't really tell you. But I'm going to tell you because as we know, I believe in keeping it real. I don't know any other way to be. That's just me.
That's why I bring you on the show. Okay, Mark.
So here's the important part. If you want them to go away and you ask Jesus and God to make them go away, in order for that to actually work and happen, you have to you have to submit yourself to God and Jesus, and you have to put that burden on them. You have to give it up.
Well,
Otherwise, you're just going to be tormented. It's the
mhm.
same thing with the demonic presence. When you're trying to cast out a demon, if you don't if you don't enable that to happen, it's not going to.
Okay. So there is, I mean, that's what I've, from the very first time I ever went Bigfooting, I realized there is a spiritual aspect to Bigfoot. Bigfoot. And I've had people argue with me about that. They're like, they don't have souls, and this and that. I'm like, well, there's a spiritual element to a lot of this, and there's a good spiritual element, and there could be a bad one as well when it comes to the demonic stuff. And I was, listen, Mark, I'm one of those people that was like, I don't think that these things are, these things that we're dealing with are demonic out there and stuff. But the more that I'm researching, and I've been doing this a long time. Okay. I think it's a long time, since 2011. Okay. It's long for me. but not as long as you've been doing it. Okay. But still, just having conversations with people like yourself, and going out in the field and just going camping with other people and hearing all these different perspectives on it. I do believe there is a demonic element to some of this. I mean, I see it in humans. Why wouldn't it be in the cryptids? Okay.
Well, the and I've said this before on your show, and I'll reiterate it if you want me to. But
Okay.
the whole, like I said originally, I've been through different stages in my research, and I went from the it's a relic hominid to,
Hmm.
there's something not normal about these things, and often a little bit into the woo, then it got deeper,
Yeah.
and then it got worse, and my perspective on them changed, and I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think that these things are born innately evil, but because of what they are, there is something in their makeup
Hmm.
that allows them to be demonically possessed kind of on the fly in real time,
Hmm.
and they can't control that. And because of that,
Okay.
I think that's why some people have good encounters and some people have bad encounters. And I
Wow.
think, if you go back to your video that you did on the Diocyanin goggles, right?
Thank you for that idea. That was your idea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a
So
great show.
if you go back to that concept, you know, those soldiers, when they were in those helicopters, they were seeing these demonic entities flying alongside these other helicopters, and they were shooting at them. Well,
Yeah.
in, in looking at that, you have to say that at some point it is probable that the demonic entities that are here on this earth, that while they may be many numbered and widespread, they
Hmm.
can't be everywhere. And if they're, I guess what I'm trying to say is, they wouldn't necessarily be everywhere. They're going to be in higher concentrations of people because there's more people that they can jump from and attach to,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yes. You know,
So if you're
can
out
I?
in, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, I'm getting that. I made that reference of that movie Fallen. I think it's called Fallen with
Mhm.
Denzel Washington, and I've been pretty vocal about how I've actually watched that happen in real time in real life
Mhm.
with people that are close to me, and it's pretty concerning, it's happened at least 3 times in my life, or 5 maybe, or more now. Okay, but it's really wild because I've seen that happen in humans, so I can absolutely see that happening in cryptids as well. Cryptids as well, man. I'm just imagining
Well,
that movie though.
yeah. Well, the point that I want to bring up is, where do you think you would encounter a higher concentration of demonic entities, in a larger city, or out in the middle of nowhere in the woods where there's just you and a Bigfoot?
Usually out in the city, probably. I mean,
So, I
I don't know.
mean,
That's a
from a
lot of
logical
people.
from a logical standpoint, I would say the same.
Hmm.
That, but now that doesn't mean that you're not going to encounter one that doesn't get possessed by a demonic on the fly.
Okay.
Um, and that could be the reason why some of these things act the way that they do and make you think that they're going to kill you. And then, you know, But I think at the end of the day, these things are just trying to live their life. They're trying to survive. They're trying to do the 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 big three: eat, sleep, and survive, or four, and reproduce. I think that's what they're probably trying to do. But when
They're
you,
looking for food.
yeah. So to answer the question that was on there a while
Oh yeah,
ago,
from Gene. From Gene.
yeah.
Yes. Let me pull
So
that back up. Thank
what
you
do
for
I
being here, Gene.
what do I think they are? I mean, as far
Yeah.
as Bigfoot goes,
Here, let's pull it back up.
I would say that these things are probably, they could be, and this is just my opinion,
Just an opinion.
they could be the offspring of the Raphaim. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the timeline in the biblical narrative, you had the fallen angels that came down and and mated with the human women. Their offspring were called the Nephilim. Their goal when they came down to do that was to pollute the bloodlines of man.
Mhm.
At some point after that, they determined that they didn't want just the bloodlines of humans to be uh, messed with. They wanted to mess with all the bloodlines on the planet. So the Nephilim, which were the offspring, and the fallen angels went out and polluted the bloodlines of the whole planet. And that's where you get some of the things that we see in the here and now and read about in probably in mythology, because where else are you going to run into minotaurs and
Centaurs. Yeah.
centaurs and all that
Dog-headed men.
dog-headed men.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's just my opinion. um so but I think at the end of the day, I hear people make this claim that, oh well, you go out into the woods and you get a wild animal that's fixing to attack you, a bear or a lion or a tiger or wild hog or whatever. If you call upon the name of Jesus, that's not going to stop that animal from attacking you. I beg to
Probably
differ.
not.
I
Yeah.
beg to differ.
Yeah.
I think that people would be greatly surprised that if
Wow.
if if they did that, called upon him to protect them, and believed it, that they
Wow.
would be protected.
Wow. Well, alien abductions have stopped when people
Hmm.
have prayed. Okay. And called out to God and to Jesus. And you know, uh, we're always bringing up. People are always bringing this up about and I've brought it up myself about these deep underground military bases and these secret space program guys that I bring on my shows. They've talked about. Daryl James has even talked about it. They're required to sign some kind of like an NDA that says they will not use the name of Jesus Christ when they're down there. And so it makes you wonder why. Makes you wonder why.
Well, it ought to be self-explanatory if you
Yeah.
if you look at it, because it doesn't. Why would it matter? You and that's what I find very interesting is you have these people say, oh well, especially the people that the people that are in those communities, you know, the military communities, and not all of them, but you have a lot of them that are, company men. I'm going to use that term. The company
Okay.
men who,
Company man.
the majority of them, they don't they don't hold Christian values and beliefs, and they're usually the first ones to say, well, that's not true and that's not real. and it's not this and it's not that. But if it's not true and it's not real, then why would you make somebody sign such a waiver
Yeah. Yeah. Why?
or an NDA
Yeah.
or some kind of agreement?
Hmm.
If it didn't matter and it's not real, then why would you have somebody sign that away?
Yeah. That's a good question. Uh, Carrie has a really interesting comment here. Thank you, Carrie. Every living creature, including cryptids, have a soul. They too want redemption. I have heard a story about a dogman outside his tent, and he prayed the Lord's prayer, and the dogman listened and left.
You know, what's interesting about that is, I've heard people talk about, just different stories. There was a there was a gentleman some years back I heard about. He would go into this location and he would pull his truck up and he would play gospel music, and he said the Bigfoot would come out and sit around the edge of the woods just out of his view and they would listen. But I can assure you, and I can tell you this for a fact, they do not like certain types of music. And
What?
that's
What?
there are certain types of music that they do not like.
Oh man.
And I'm
What?
not even kidding.
What kind of music do they not like?
So anything that's in the 2 kilohertz range, don't ask me how I know this, but let's just say that back in the day when I was a young researcher, I did some experiments with some stuff like that. And yeah,
Okay.
kind of interesting.
Well, I mean, I just had a full chart. I was scrolling through TikTok or something, y'all. I don't know. I was scrolling through somewhere online, and someone had made this. I had to put my glasses on because I couldn't read it. It was tiny print, but it was talking about all the different diseases and viruses that people could get, and the sound frequency that heals it. It's like
Mm.
basically they were saying that anything can be healed with sound frequencies.
Oh yeah,
Everything, anything and everything. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV. But
yeah.
that's what it showed that, and it had like a chart, and I actually took a screenshot of it. I thought it was kind of cool.
And we love life, and we have no
No,
intentions or plans to do any harm to ourselves.
absolutely not. I love my life. I'm having too much fun. Okay.
So there was a gentleman, and people sometimes look at me like I'm the devil. Whenever you know how you go to the gas station, they're like, "Would you like to donate to such and such hospital for cancer research and this, that, and the other?" And I refuse, and generally I'll have a little conversation with them, and I'll tell them, straight up, not that I don't agree in helping people, but there are cures to cancer out there.
There are alternative methods to take care of it for sure. I just wanted to point this out, y'all. I'm seeing Gene and Carrie also had brought up Esau. And next week, next Saturday night, we're going to have my buddy, Justin here. He has a podcast called Prometheus Lens. And he wrote a book on Esau. And we're going to be talking about that Saturday night next week. So y'all please come see that. Come back and see us on Saturday night of next weekend. We will have Justin here, aka Doc. I call him Doc, but he's with Prometheus Lens podcast, and he's going to be here talking about Esau on Saturday. So I'm super glad that y'all are bringing that up in the chat. So yeah, so we're talking about that next. We're going to take a biblical perspective, not like we're not doing it tonight too a little bit, but next Saturday night we will be talking about Esau, and I've been out in the field with him as well. So we've got some stories. Okay, but anyways. I love it. We have a great chat tonight, by the way. We always have a great chat.
Oh yeah.
Great chat.
So I think that a person needs to be prepared when when they're going after these things. If they're going after them to eliminate them,
Oh
if you
gosh.
even if you look at the old legends of Van Helsing, you know, uh, granted Van Helsing and the the Witcher storyline, more so. I don't think that they were 100%, on Team Jesus or Team God. They were probably using, dark things to accomplish their goals.
Oh
But
yeah, magic,
but I think that
demons.
a person, if they're really truly going after these things, they should be prepared for what they could encounter.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because even though you may take it lightly, they're not going to.
yeah, that's true. That's true. We have peanut butter and jelly in the chat. What's up, Jason? Says, what did the ancients do about dogmen? What did they do about dogmen? Egypt, Greece, China, and in the Americas. And you were asking about the Native Americans' outlook on dogmen as well. I saw that comment a while ago. And well, some of them actually they warred against they fought against some of these dog-headed people. From some of the research that I've done, uh, there's actually I think King Arthur fought a battle against. Now maybe that was the Blemmies. I don't know. It was either dog-headed men or the Blemmies. There's accounts of them fighting like in wars and stuff.
So at one point, I was looking at including a chapter in a book and calling that chapter "The Tale of Cryptids." And when you look at Taoist and Taoist religions,
mm-hmm.
um, they're very different than Christianity in the respect that it's with those religions, it's more about balance, and you have to have an equal
Okay.
amount of good and an equal amount of bad to have a, a balance in the world in existence. So there are things within those religions that are deemed acceptable, and it magic, good or bad,
Yeah.
shapeshifters, and all the things that go along with that in some of those religions, I believe, are accepted
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that's very
because
interesting.
in their scheme of maintaining a balance between good and evil, uh, it has its place, and I think probably the best way to put it would be, when we see something bad, we're like, oh, that's bad, bad, or whatever. When they see something bad, they may not view it as bad. They may view it as necessary to
Mm-hmm.
maintain balance.
To maintain the balance. So it's all about the balance.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, I've heard that before. I've heard that before too. And I don't know. I think that it's a good takeaway for all this is like what we're dealing with out there, what we are encountering out in the field. Uh, when people, this is like getting into like flesh and bone versus the woo camp, right? I don't know. Is this a whole other category, or is this woo, or what? I
Or
mean,
both.
it's both. I always say it's both.
I would have to agree on that because of the simple fact that some years back, I'm not going to say where I got this picture from just yet. I was actually asked not to publicly release the picture, but I have a picture of a alien that is materializing in a treetop
Okay.
into a solid form.
Mhm.
And it just so happened that the person that took that picture, um, when they took the picture, they didn't see it until they actually took the picture. It's a digital picture, but it looks kind of like, to describe it, it's like a bunch of not points of light, but it looks like uh, kind of like fractals that
Okay.
are coming together.
Do you have the
And
picture? Do you want to show us?
I have it, but
You're not gonna show us.
it's not readily available in because it's on a hard drive that I have it's on a backup drive that I would have to assemble a bunch of stuff in order to pull it off of it.
I was kidding with you.
Oh,
I
I
didn't
know.
expect you to show it.
But the person that gave me that picture asked me not to publicly share it, and they passed away. And because of the simple fact that I said that I wouldn't,
Okay.
uh, I one thing that I am good for is my word.
You are good for your word. That is for sure. No, that's great. That's great. That's really wow. What was the story behind it though?
Mm,
Can you tell us?
so this person was in a cemetery here in Western Kentucky
Okay.
in the LBL, and
In the LBL.
they kept hearing movement,
Okay.
and they just started taking pictures because they couldn't see anything.
Hmm.
And for some reason, they took a picture up into the treetop, and that's when they caught this thing. And it straight up looks like an alien.
Whoa. Huh. Well, I wouldn't doubt it.
Right.
Y'all got so much stuff in there. We last week we talked about the reptilians, the dogmen, the Bigfoots, portal, and aliens and UFOs. Man, you know what? I'm really actually quite excited listening. I have some great friends that have like podcasts and stuff, and people that I don't think would normally talk about UFOs and portals and the stuff that I talk about on my channel. Basically, uh, I have noticed that these are people that are just into talking about mostly Bigfoot, and they're having some dogman experiences now and stuff. But I'm noticing that a lot of people are really opening up to talking about UFOs and portals now and interdimensional stuff that they probably wouldn't have talked about a couple of years ago. And I
Well,
think the climate's changing.
I think it's the realization is setting in that all of this stuff is connected.
Exactly. That's what I've been saying, y'all. Mark, I've been saying that these things are connected from day one. Just so y'all know, y'all go back and watch my very first videos ever. I've always said that. It's all connected.
And when you look at the instances where people talk about, oh well, the starship came down and dropped off the hairy man.
Hmm.
I mean, you hear a lot of instances of that coming out of Oklahoma and um, different areas, and there does seem to be a connection. But at the end of the day, you have to look at that with a lens of heavy examination,
Hmm.
because you have to ask yourself, obviously, the first question of why would they be dropping Bigfoot off down here, and not coming down here themselves, doing whatever it is that they're doing. And is there a dogman alien connection? I've heard there
Hmm.
is, but it's like with all things, I'm one of those show me kind of people. You have to I have to see it and experience it, not necessarily to understand it, but to believe that it's got a reality element to it. And do bear in mind that you know um, and this is where things get a little bit complicated, because of the simple fact that I don't know how deep people delve into reality and their perception of reality, or whether they even pay that any mind. But it's already been. I just saw the other day that they have determined that our perception of reality is actually 3 to 5 seconds in the future.
What? Are you serious? I've not heard that. That's kind of cool.
So, you know, I don't know. It's kind of like the whole Matrix thing. You know, what to what level are we involved in the creation of reality, and how does that affect what we encounter and what we perceive? And it's like you have to ask the question, and it answers the question in a sense, because of the simple fact that I know you've heard of groups of people, 5 to 10 people.
Hmm.
They're out in the woods. They encounter an entity. Some people in the group see a Bigfoot.
Oh God.
Some people in the group see something else.
Oh God. That's happened to me before.
Hmm.
In a group of people. Except we were with a security guard pulled up to bust us because we were at the radar tower at Montauk. And when the guy pulled up, half of the group, we didn't talk about it till we left. He left. Half the group saw a African American gentleman, and the other half of us saw a white guy with a ponytail and a beard.
Hmm.
It didn't make any sense because that was nothing like with the other half, and we were all standing there together.
That's wild.
Yeah, and that was a human. Well, I don't know if it was a real human. I don't know. I don't know what's real anymore, honestly. But I know what you're talking about.
And I think that has a lot to do with that whole 3 seconds of perception of the future.
Wow.
Somehow it comes into play in how we perceive reality.
Yes.
And I've said this many times. We can only perceive 5% of what we're actually experiencing. If people could see the other 95%, they it'd be like they were strapped into some dye goggles or something, or worse.
We don't need those. Now they're making contacts with where you can see interdimensional beings and stuff. Garrel and I were just talking about that, and Jane, Midwest Night Watchers. That is creepy. I don't think I'd want contacts where I could see interdimensional beings. I don't, there's some things where like I want to bust out of this matrix, but like I don't know how far I need to bust out right now because I'm not ready for that. I don't know. Maybe I am. It'd be good to put them on when I'm ready to look and see what's around me, I guess. Tales of a Sonic Voyage. Thank you, Terry. Terry, thank you for being here. Hello. Thank you for that super sticker. You're so sweet. And thank you for being here tonight. Oh my gosh. And before we move on, also, I want to thank Mad Pax. Thank you for being here too. You're awesome. Excellent conversation. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, was Mad Pax on Midwest Night Watchers? Were you on Midwest Night Watchers one day? I think so. Okay, just recently. But yeah, I don't know if even I'm ready for dicyanin contacts. I don't think that's what they actually are, but you can have like night vision contacts and all sorts of stuff that are just, it seems convenient. It'd be good for, Bigfoot and Dogman investigations. It'd be great. But I don't know. Technology. Gotta love it.
Well, I think that in my opinion, I think that's a further step into the whole transhumanist thing.
Well, that goes back to my question that I always ask. What does it mean to be human? That's what the head of my research team has always asked us. What does it mean to be human? And I don't know. I don't think everybody is human.
I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
I've seen it with my own eyes.
Boy, that was a sinister little laugh there. Just kidding. You're like, I know.
Yeah, there's some of the people out there are not what they present themselves to be.
Oh yeah, that too.
Not just that, not talking about personality wise. I'm talking about for real wise. you know, they walk around looking like a human, but they ain't. They ain't.
They're not. Eric's in the chat. He says, "I'm not human. I am fluffy." He's a fluffy
Mhm.
butt. Fluffy butt, Eric. Thank you for being here, Eric. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's we are living in such strange times right now, and it's probably always a lot of these things have probably always been around us, but we just were not awake to it, like awakened to people not all being people or humans and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, I when I first started, and I didn't say this tonight, but when I first started doing the cryptid field research, I mean, you've been doing it longer than I have. It was not a popular thing at all, and we all got made fun of, and
Oh yeah,
and today it's like
it was brutal back in the day.
it was brutal back when I started. Okay, it was brutal back then. I was pretty. I don't want to say viciously made fun of by coworkers and stuff. It wasn't vicious, but it was harsh. It was slightly harsh. Maybe I wasn't as tough as I am today though. Okay. So maybe it wasn't that bad. But that's the way I took it back then.
It reminds me of a
Yeah.
story. I had a I had a guy that I worked with that was making some pretty hard fun of me for about 2 weeks. Every time I saw him, he was Bigfoot this, Bigfoot that.
Oh really?
You want to hear the whole story?
Did people always give you Bigfoot gifts? If they could find, well, I guess they didn't make a lot of Bigfoot gifts back then, did
No,
they? Yeah.
no. But I'll tell
I
the
want to hear
story.
it. Tell
You want to
me.
hear it?
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
So I was, it was the guy that I worked with,
Okay.
and it came up. The place that I worked at. You had to put your vacation in like a year in advance, and I had decided that I was going to take some time off, so I took a week off, and I had put in for it, and it just so turned out that myself and a friend of mine were going to go to West Virginia to research, which um, uh, it was in early April. I mean, late April, early May when I was doing that.
Okay.
So I went in to work, and I got to be friends with this guy, and we would always pick on each other and just every day rib about something. So I went in to work, and I told him, I was like, you're going to have to find somebody next week to mess with because I'm going on vacation. He said, "Oh man, I don't know what I'm going to do." He said, "Vacation? Are you just going to take some time off and hang around here? Or are you going somewhere?"
I don't know
I
if you're
said,
going Bigfooting.
"Well, I'm going to go to West Virginia." He said, "What in the world are you going to West Virginia for?" So uh, he asked, so I told him. I said, "Well, me and some friends of mine are going up there to do some Bigfoot research." He was like,
Oh.
"Bigfoot?" He was like, "Man, ain't no such thing as Bigfoot. This, that, and the other." And him hawed around there for about 30 minutes. And every time that night I ran into him, he would say something about Bigfoot. So finally I had enough, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey man," I said, "Why don't you see if you can take some time off and go up there with me?" He was like, "Man, I don't want to be around camping out with a bunch of drunks and this, that, and the other." I said, "Well, there's not going to be anybody drinking. This is serious stuff." Well, a little bit later on, he I ran into him again. He said, "Hey, I want to ask you something." He said, "Why did you want me to go with you?" I looked at him. I said,
Bigfoot bait.
I said, "Well, it's kind of like this." I said, "I figured I'd ask you to go with me because I need some bait." and he started jumping around there. I mean, he was physically jumping around. He's like, "Man, you ain't right. How you gonna take me off in the woods, use me for Bigfoot bait, and this, that, and the other?" He's like, "You ain't right. You ain't right." And after I did that to him, he stopped. He didn't say nothing else about anything.
He saw that you had been sizing him up to see how he would make out for as some Bigfoot bait.
Oh, one of the
That was
one of
disturbing.
yeah, one other thing that I mentioned to him after I told him I was going to use him for Bigfoot bait, and he started getting upset. I told him, I said, "What are you worried about, man?" I said, "Bigfoot ain't real."
I like how you got psychological with that and you flipped it on him. I like that. You
Hmm.
did the double bluff, is what Barry calls that. That's funny.
But even to this day, I run into him
That's
every once
funny.
in a while. We don't work at the same place anymore, and I'll run into him once in a while in the gas station or whatever. Even to today, he has not even said anything about Bigfoot since that night.
Oh, he was so worried that
So,
you were going to turn him into Bigfoot bait. You know, I've actually volunteered to be Bigfoot bait, and I have done it several times. Let's say several times. And yeah, after a while, it's kind of an ongoing joke for Bigfoot field researchers, y'all. In case anybody's wondering, the first time you go out, you're kind of initiated by being Bigfoot bait. You don't have to be, but we joke around about the newbies get to be Bigfoot bait. Yeah. So,
well, during that West Virginia trip, I inadvertently and accidentally caused myself to become Bigfoot bait.
oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh
And
no.
and basically I was left in the middle of the mountains in the middle of nowhere in a campsite by myself,
Oh
no
no.
vehicle, nowhere to run. Well, there was places to run, but nowhere to hide,
Oh
nowhere to
no.
nowhere to get away from them if they got me or
Hmm.
tried to get me. And let me tell you what, it's all fun and games until it becomes real.
Hmm. Did,
And
did something come after you?
no, nothing came after me, but I had some stuff happen while I was there by myself. And let's just say that the person that was putting on the excursion, when he got back to camp that evening, he got a piece of my mind. But yeah,
Yeah, it's not for the it's not, you got to be tough, y'all. Okay, you got to be tough when you go out and do stuff like this. But I enjoy being Bigfoot bait. I mean, I've learned just to be bait. Okay, and get a some form of enjoyment out of it. I've embraced the suck because I know that no matter what, I have a chance of actually coming face to face with a Bigfoot. I have more of a chance than the people that aren't being bait have. Okay, I know it sounds messed up, doesn't it? But it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, but that's funny because you challenged him to come out to join you, and then he backed off because he knows they're real. I mean, why else would you be going out there so much? Like that's the way I look at it. It's like, you know, why would we go out there to chase nothing? You know, if there was nothing out there, I wouldn't keep going.
oh yeah. Well, I have I know another guy that I was pretty good friends with, and I was actually researching on the property that I was friends with this guy, and I was researching on the property behind his house, and he would tell me that he'd hear stuff moving around in it on his property at night and this, that, and the other. This was when I was frequenting an area that I call the hot zone, and I haven't been down into the hot zone in about, Lord, it's been 11 years now. I've driven through that area, but I have not actually set foot on any property down there in that long. But he would tell me that he would hear things and this, that, and the other, and he'd be sitting there and his dog would start barking, and he'd let his dog out, and she'd stand on the edge of the porch and bark, but would never leave the porch. And I told him one day, I said, um, I'm kind of wondering if you don't have a Bigfoot hanging around. and he was like, every time I'd bring it up, he's like, I don't want to hear about that. Don't talk about that. And I was like, why? He said, Bigfoot ain't real. But he was definitely afraid of the subject.
Hmm.
But I think he knew.
Hmm. Yeah, well, a lot of people, I think, subconsciously know there's probably a Bigfoot around, but they don't want to bring it to their consciousness.
Yeah.
They don't want it to because and a lot of times we do manifest things too,
Hmm.
and that's the way I've always been when it came to stuff. Even before I was like awakened, if you know what I mean. I had enough sense to know like when I talk about loving. I used to watch those crime shows like First
Hmm.
48, and I used to love watching that show. And I think it came on every Thursday night. I'm pretty sure. And I'd sit in my apartment. I live by myself. Single female in downtown Atlanta. What could go wrong there? Watching First 48. I was obsessed with it. And I was living in Decatur actually at the time. I think I was in Decatur at that time. And I quit watching it because I kept thinking, I was like, gosh, I might manifest this or something. It started getting to be kind of. I felt like I started realizing that if I'm watching this a lot, it could become my reality one day. That's what I mean. Consciously kind of felt that, and one day they started filming the First 48 on my street. There was a homicide, and they were filming literally on my street in front of my apartment.
Wow.
And I quit watching the First 48 that day. That's where I quit. I quit cold turkey, right
Mm.
there. Because I mean, I'm not saying I manifested that by any means, but I'm saying
Yeah.
like I felt like I was going to potentially. So I was aware, even though I wasn't fully awakened, if, in the sense of like a spiritual awakening or whatever, consciousness awakening. I still knew. I kind of inherently knew I needed to be careful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess my point was, I forgot I had not gotten to my point about the cryptids though. We can manifest cryptid encounters too, and like things. I'm not saying like manifesting in front of us and stuff, but especially if you're on a lower vibrational frequency, we manifest at the level that we're at. Okay, now I know this is going to sounds a little woo woo for some people, right? But hang with me here, because when we're manifest, I do believe in manifestation, and we do. When I say we create our own realities, we do, and and if you're on a lower vibrational frequency and you're holding on to a lot of trauma, a lot of sadness and fear, living in fear and anxiety every day, you start manifesting a reality like that around you. And talk about like demonic entities and stuff. You can start manifesting these experiences with these demonic entities and people that have attachments on them and stuff like that. So the higher that I'm going to get I guess like got to look out for ourselves, y'all. Okay, look out for yourselves. And this is just me. This is just me thinking out loud. Okay, and the higher your vibrational frequency is, that kind of stuff won't affect you. And like the demonic stuff, like I feel like the demonic stuff, especially if it's out in the field, like that's why I've not had any like bad experiences out in the field with anything that I would consider to be demonic. To my knowledge, okay, I've always had a pretty high frequency, high vibe. I try to stay high vibe as much as I can, and I think that helps when you're out there. I mean, I'm not saying it repels all the negative demonic stuff away from you. It's still going to chase you down, but maybe it just won't touch you. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about that, Mark? About the different frequencies?
Well, if you look at cymatics, I mean, cymatics shows us, the response of originally cymatics was developed using ice crystals and water,
Yes.
and when they would freeze that water, after exposing it to different things, it would form different patterns based on what it was exposed to. And I believe that there is definitely something to that. And think about it like this as well. Once again, this is for informational purposes only,
Entertainment purposes only.
entertainment
Yes.
purposes only,
Yeah. It
and
always is.
I don't uh, have any psychological issues, and I love life, and I do not plan to do anything to myself.
We
Never,
love our lives.
ever. I always say that I'll go out the way I came in, kicking and
Screaming.
screaming,
Yeah.
covered in somebody else's blood.
Oh man. Me too.
And so um, with that, you got to think about it like this as well. The human body is 70% water. So every sound, every frequency, every vibration that we're exposed to has some kind of effect on us. And whether it be positive, negative, or otherwise, that is something to consider. I saw some things the other day where they're talking about, they can cure different diseases with light and sound, non-invasive, no surgery, no radiation treatments, no nothing. It's just, the way that, you know, they have figured out that they can do that. Now, my question naturally is, well, if they can do that, then why aren't they doing it? Um, and that's always going to be my question. We have these technologies that they've experimented with. Why are they not using it? And I think that if we look at it, we know the answer to that. It's all about,
It's all about the money, baby. All about the Benjamins. It's all about the
and
Benjamins and keeping us all on a low level of a low frequency and sick and tired and not so we don't fight back when things get bad and stuff. That's what it is.
well, I think the reality that needs to set in with a lot of people is not that when things get bad, is that things are bad.
They're bad now, I know, right? Like we got
They're not
everybody
going to
wake
get
up.
any better.
What?
They're,
It's not
it's not going to get better in the near future. It's going to get worse, and then eventually it will get better. But it's going to take people waking up to everything that we've been that we've been misled on.
hmm well, and you know what? And then I'm gonna circle back around to we got to be selfish. Okay, got to be selfish with ourselves because things may not get better for a while. Okay, and so let's just say things don't get better for a while. Well, as long as we're happy, I know it sounds like kind of weird, like living in your own little reality. Okay, but finding that peace within us. Okay, that's how we're gonna get through all this, y'all. And this is my opinion. This is just me talking out loud here, thinking out loud. Uh, you know, finding peace and happiness and joy within. Okay, when all this chaos is swirling around us, you got to keep your head straight. Because I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people. I'm not saying it's just people I know, but like there's a lot of people that are kind of losing their not keeping their head on straight right now and stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
And so we gotta work hard on taking care of ourselves and you know our our insides. And I'm
and
talking
then
about our mind, body, and our spirit.
once you get to that place where you realize that you're in that place, then if you choose to, then you can start looking at doing things in a positive way to help other people. Because at the end of the day, um, you know, it sometimes it's not just enough to be the example. Sometimes you have to impart a bit of yourself to someone else in order to get them to get into a better place.
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot a lot of people using that four-letter word. I ain't gonna say it,
Four
but
letter word.
they use that four-letter word, and they have no understanding of the concept whatsoever, and they don't understand that word
Oh, you're talking about this?
Yeah. That 4-letter
Love. I had to do the heart, y'all. I don't ever do the hearts. I don't do the hearts.
you
I
know,
was like, what 4-letter word? And could you possibly be talking about?
it
Okay.
it love is not all lovey-dovey.
What is
Love
love, Mark? Tell us what love is. I'm just kidding.
it sometimes it requires sacrifice. Sometimes it requires distance, space, um, doing things that you don't want to do. A whole lot of that, and I think that a lot of the time people get it get it misconstrued with another 4-letter word, which I'm definitely not going to say because I'm not trying to plant seeds here. I'm trying to get people to think for themselves. But there is another 4-letter word that they get it confused with, and it's rather unfortunate because of the fact that a lot of the people that have that confusion, they they try to portray that as love, and it's not.
Is that a 4-letter word or a 3-letter word?
It's both.
Oh man. Well, you know what? Okay, so if we're talking about love, we don't talk about love when it comes to cryptids usually. Okay. But let me tell you, it has a lot to do with the cryptid stuff, y'all. It actually does. Okay. And because you remember I was saying like getting a high vibrational frequency. What is the highest frequency? It's
Love.
love. It's love. Okay. And so like I was saying, maybe that's why some people don't have like all these really negative encounters. They don't. I'm not saying I'm not getting attacked by a dogman or a Bigfoot because I'm full of love and on a high vibrational frequency. And I do cover myself in prayer when I go before I go out and go do my hunts, if you want to call it that, and stuff like that. But being on a high vibrational frequency of love and loving myself and exuding love in everything that I do, I try to. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, y'all. But just doing that, it could protect you from maybe attacks. I mean, you kind of were alluding to that earlier, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Yep. So we agree on that then. I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. Nice.
And another thing, I don't mean to sound like I'm harping on this, but you know, there's a long word. I actually haven't counted the letters in it, but there's a long word. It's called persecution. A lot of people, a lot of people confuse love with persecution as well, and those two words should not be in the same sentence.
No, that's
There's
true.
no place for those two concepts in the same sentence, and I think that anybody who has that inability to understand what love is, they need to really do some deep examination in order to, maybe for themselves, understand a little bit better what that could mean for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, this is a very first on my. Well, actually, I've talked about love and being on that high frequency in my videos before I was the Cryptid Huntress on this channel. I used to talk about that all the time. Actually, if you guys ever want to go back and watch some different videos, go back and watch when I first started my channel. All the videos are still there. If y'all want to watch, the Oracle of the South was my channel before I switched it over to the Cryptid Huntress. So yeah, it's. I think it's really cool how it's not. I'm not gonna say a progression, but like that's always been the basis of everything that I've done is like that, trying to get on that higher vibrational frequency and the healing journey and all that kind of stuff, because it's so important. If you're going to be out there dealing with things that are so dark and potentially demonic, okay, you have to get yourself right. They say like you can't fill somebody else's cup unless your cup's full, right? You can't like be pouring out to everybody. You got to fill your cup up before you go and do stuff. like cryptid hunting, y'all, it is a spiritual experience, and it could get yourself in some sticky situations out there with some sticky demonic clone dogmen stuff. I mean,
Well, if you look at what I was talking about earlier about the gentleman playing the gospel music, you know, um, there's the love element to that as well. Because I've always told people that the greatest mystery, or the greatest mystery concerning cryptids, Bigfoot primarily, is not that they're very aware of what they are, even though we don't understand what they are. They're very aware of what they are. But the greatest mystery around that is not that they don't know or what they are. It's that we have forgotten what we are.
mm-hmm. Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Humans do not know how powerful we are. Okay, and I try to remind people occasionally, like we are more than just this flesh suit too. Okay, and we are limitless beings. We can do anything we want, create anything we want, and live a good life. You just have to get in the mindset. Get your mind tuned to that frequency of like being abundant and happy and full of love and receiving love, giving love, receiving love, and go out and just go have fun. Do you know what? You know what really helps, Mark? You know what will really change your life? Doing something that scares the hell out of you once a year.
Oh yeah.
At least do something that scares you, that you thought you would never do. Go do it. Don't get hurt though. Okay, like don't get hurt. Maybe that's like going Bigfooting.
Jumping out of an airplane with
Yeah,
a parachute.
that's a little extreme. I don't know. You don't got to do that. Okay, but do something. Go whitewater rafting or something. That's kind of scary. but just do something that scares you every now and then. It can be more than once a year. Do that. It will change your life. It'll put you in a different frequency. It really will. And that's why, like, I always think that, like, I've always kind of thought about this. Is like when people have an experience with a cryptid and it's terrifying, it jolts them out of that frequency they were in, and they're on a whole different frequency. Sometimes it could be a higher one, sometimes it could be a lower one, probably, right? But you change your frequency when you have experiences that just come out of nowhere like that, and it definitely will raise your consciousness level. It throws you in another category of the woo factor.
Well, I've done some in-depth studying on the whole concept of paradigms and all that stuff, and how that frequency and vibration all works together, and what you're talking about is correct. And I think it's important that people understand that in order to have a better life, they're going to have to get onto a different vibrational frequency or vibration or frequency, and things will get better for them.
Yes. You know what? Change your energy up too, y'all. If you're ever feeling like kind of low vibe, so that means like depressed. Okay, get up and dance, jump around, jump around, and just do something like kick your legs, like act crazy, like do something. Just start kind of flinging your body around a little bit, and just like change your energy up.
Now I'm going to have to listen.
Maybe
to
not in front of everybody. Maybe not in front of everybody. Okay, but you can go do it. Shut your door to your room and just like start dancing, and it'll really change your whole day for the better. It really will. You got to get rid of that stuck energy and stuff, and get your body moving. Yeah, I don't know, golly. This conversation is really interesting because like we're talking about hunting dogmen and stuff, and like, but it kind of boils down to like the experiences that we have and like how we interact with them and they interact with us, and it's a frequency thing. It really is a frequency thing. And it's a matter of us being on the right frequency just to attract these good experiences and to repel the bad. Okay. And that's how it is. No matter how much, listen, I can speak from personal experience. I've had a lot of negative energy coming at me, a lot. I always do. I don't know why I do, but I do. And it's okay. I'm no victim. Okay. And it's always going to be thrown at me. It's just the way it is. I've learned to accept it and like adapt. Okay. And that's kind of how like a lot of us, we all need to be. And I hate to say it like that, but Mark, you said like, things aren't going to get any better anytime soon, well, the first step is like accepting that like, this is what we got to deal with. Okay. And to become the best version of ourselves so that we can handle it when negative energy is thrown our way and stuff. We have to deal with really bad things. You know what I mean? So
I hear what you're saying, but
yeah.
I want to this is going to be the point where you pick something up for the night.
Okay.
That you hadn't considered.
Okay.
So I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
However, I disagree.
Okay. This is like Dr. Phil tonight. Dr. Mark. Just kidding. We're no doctors.
And I disagree because of the simple fact that negative things, when they enter your life, you do not have to accept them.
That's true.
And
very true.
If you don't accept them, then you don't empower them and you can repel them. So I would say that some contemplation on that might be due, and it might help. And if I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, I do apologize, but
I don't know what I'm saying
because I don't mean to be brash or anything like that. I'm just saying that when negative things happen, yeah, I get it.
Chop. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I get it. We're inundated with so much negative that it gets to the point where you just say, okay, it's another day. It's another Monday. It's Thursday, but it's Monday again. I do that a lot. It's Wednesday. It's Monday.
Womp womp.
Third Monday. I do that, but at the end of the day, I have to, in order for me to function and like I want to, I have to realize that it's up to me how things go that day.
Yeah. It's always up to us. We create it. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. Yeah. Oh well. I do have a lot of negativity coming at me a lot though. And I think it's like I mean, I'm going to say like I expect it kind of because like I've got a public persona kind of now and I'm out here, I'm speaking my mind. I'm living authentically as myself right now. And it's going to attract some negativity from people I don't know usually. So, and that's okay. I don't let it bother me or whatever, but I'm just saying it because I'm sure, we all can experience stuff like that.
Oh yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not naive enough to say that, I've never been in that mindset before because I have. And, it just took years and years of realizing that, ultimately if I want it to be better, that I'm the only one that can change it. And, sometimes, there's a particular route that you should take in changing it.
Yeah. You know what? That reminds me actually. So Craig, one of my teammates, he, we've talked about, he always told me, he was like, you don't have to accept anything people tell you, it's kind of like what you're saying, but we're talking about, I like to pick up quartz when I go on an investigation. I'll pick up quartz. I'll bring quartz home. I joke around about how one day a Dogman hologram is going to pop up in my house. And I'm going to have like a whole clan of Bigfoots and Dogmen from all the quartz that I've got in my house. It's going to be bad. It's going to be like Star Wars or something, where they got like Yoda's coming out in a hologram or something out of this quartz rocks. And And Craig's told me before, he was like, no, you don't, it is what you want it to be. Okay. Like, if people are like, hey, don't bring that, it could be cursed or whatever. No, he was like, no, you put the intention in it that it's not. Okay. Like, it's all about what you believe. And it's, don't let anybody else tell you what that's going to do. It's what you believe it to be. Okay. And what you believe it's going to do for you. And you change the frequency of it by believing that it's going to be beneficial for you. Okay. Not cursed. Ain't no curse rock. It's beneficial. This is a beautiful rock, So I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely
Anyways.
interesting.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's just his opinion, I guess, but I'm just saying.
So, real quick, I just wanted to address a question that I saw scrolled in the chat. Overlander asked about good or beneficial Dogman encounters. I've heard of those. But
yes, I've heard it.
I mean, even my first encounter with one, I mean, I wouldn't say that it was super positive or anything like that, or easy to connect with. Now, I knew it was there before I ever saw it, and don't ask me how that works.
Because it was 3 seconds ahead. You knew 3 seconds before you saw it, at least.
Well, it was more than 3 seconds, but
I know, I'm kidding.
But I knew it was there before I ever saw it, but it wasn't negative in any way. As a matter of fact, the thing wanted out of my sight. Yeah. It did not like that I knew what it was and that where it was at, and it attempted to crawl off after it dropped to the ground. So, but yeah, I've heard both sides of the spectrum. I've heard super positive and super negative, and I think the worst one. I'm not going to get into the worst one because I don't know if I don't recall if I was bound by confidence to keep that to myself. I don't, that's one thing that I try to do, but doing this as long as I've done it and been involved in it, it's hard to keep up sometimes. Who you told that you wouldn't share something, and I do try to honor that, but yeah, let's just say that I've heard good and bad with respect to that, and as far as the connecting goes, I've heard good and bad with that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard good and bad as well too. We had Gary Spikes on the show a couple weeks ago, and he has positive connections with Dogmen actually, and Bigfoots, of course. They've even prayed with him before, and helped him out. So, and he and Jean are actually good friends. Jean's been in the chat tonight, and she's had very positive interactions with Bigfoots with the family as well. So that's what Bigfoot Dogman. We're talking about Dogmen though. I've heard more good encounters, like people who have them living on their property and stuff. It's almost like indifferent most of the time. So I wouldn't say like good, but it's not bad. Okay. Also we had Mark Green on the show last week, and Mark had an encounter with a all black like Dogman. This was not too far. I mean, it's about 10, 12 miles down the road from where I saw that black creature on the side of the road when I was leaving the forest in Alabama that night when I was hanging out with him and all the Bigfooters out there. And I don't know if it was the same one, probably not, but it appeared to be a Dogman, but his, you don't want, it didn't come after him or anything. Okay. Yeah. But it wasn't pleasant. He was not happy about it. Okay.
Yeah.
But it didn't hurt him. So I wouldn't call that positive, but it wasn't bad.
Well, in most respects, usually when people encounter them, usually there seems to be it's like a precursor to what's going to come next in some cases. I have heard of cases where people that had Bigfoot on their property, and the Bigfoot um, had been on the property for some time, and then Dogman showed up and began to attack the young in the Bigfoot clan, and ended up the Bigfoot left the area, and the Dogmen stayed around. So, and led to a bunch of negative encounters with the property owner. So, um, it usually is, in some cases, is not viewed as a good sign.
Hmm. It's not good. Not good. Margaret says the two sheriff story from Tennessee was bad. It had Bigfoot and Dogman. What is that? I wonder what that story is. I'd like to hear about that one. The two sheriff story from Tennessee. Two sheriff. Are you familiar with that, Mark? Margaret you need to tell me that one, Margaret.
I think she may be talking about the Martin Grove story.
Oh! Was he a sheriff? I didn't know that. Okay, interesting. Very cool. Overlander, BC. I believe dogmen are captive bred werewolves used in a super soldier project. So I asked because I can only imagine that they must occasionally want out of the program if that's what they are. Yeah. That's why they have the critter controls, what I was told, because they go rogue, the ones that are in those programs. And they either want to get out of the programs, they just want to go away, or they get away, or they want to start attacking humans. That's what I was told. That's what I was told by someone who claims to be part of those programs. So, what do you think, Mark?
So I would say, I believe that whole rogue concept does take place, and um, I think that happens because of the simple fact that usually those people that are used in those programs, I think in a lot of cases it is probably this scenario, and it's just a guess and an opinion. If I had to speculate, and this is all speculation, if you had a program like that and you enlisted individuals to join that program, and let's say you had the means to turn them into a werewolf, um, but you didn't necessarily tell the program or the project participants what it all entailed, which in a lot of things is the case. And, there could be uh, physical and spiritual implications with that they wouldn't necessarily want those individuals to be aware of at the beginning of them entering that program, because if they knew those things, they probably would decide not to be involved with the program. So I think that, looking at it from a logical standpoint, at some point the realization sets in that there are physical or spiritual implications, and they decide that, the individual decides that they want out of the program. Um, and then you get into the whole concept of, well, are they human or what? Obviously not. They're a hybrid. So, but does that make it right to have them eliminated?
Hmm.
So, and who knows? They may be telling these people, oh, well, we'll turn you into a werewolf for 5 years, and then after the 5 years, we'll turn you back into a human. You don't know what these people are being told to get them enlisted into these programs.
Yeah.
And I want to point out that, you know, once again, I've got two words for you. It's called Project Paperclip.
Oh yeah.
So we
With the
know,
schmutzy scientist.
yeah, we
Yeah.
know that those scientists in that program, where they came from and what they were into, and they were all about, in most cases, some level of deception upon their participants
Ugh.
at varying
Yikes.
degrees, probably.
Man. Yeah, lots of inhumane experiments went on. Probably still do. We all know about Dulce, right? And I've heard about it. I've done a show on it. I haven't remote viewed that place. I better not ever, I better not ever get a target to Dulce. Okay. Um, the people who task me targets know better. Okay. Because that's a lot of human animal experimentation and stuff going on there. I don't know. According to some of the super soldiers I've had on the show, they say, like Daryl James says, that they have human animal hybrid experiments going on all over the place. All these DUMBs, all the deep underground military bases, a lot of them. And he was like, well, you can human DNA pretty much goes with any. You can mix it with anything, any animal. He was like, it's very malleable. Man, well, that's good to know. It's really sad. It's really sad though too. Where's the humanity in that?
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing because I had a scene from a movie pop into my mind.
Oh man, yeah. I actually considered talking about chimeras and stuff tonight too. I was thinking about doing a show on chimeras actually at some point. But yeah, just kind of. There's some things that are probably about to come out in the news soon about chimeras and. I don't know. I mean, where do dogmen, like if dogmen are being created in labs and stuff, and I mean, are those the ones that they're creating? Are those chimeras of human animal hybrids? Do you
They
think,
would,
or what do you think?
I think, they would have to be classified as that. Um, I would even go so far as to say that uh, people that have corporate owned things floating around in their bloodstream and their mRNA's been changed, that they're probably a type of chimera themselves.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's a little scary, just a little bit. Yeah, what does it mean to be human, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that whole program, super soldier program. I mean, it's a super soldier program, secret space program. A lot of those guys have actually told me that they have seen, like Tony Rodriguez said. I'm pretty sure he's the one that told me he saw dogmen. I think he was with dogmen in a UFO, like in a spacecraft at some point.
Hmm.
And James Rink was on the show this past week talking about how dogmen are utilized by the secret space programs because they can go through like the Van Allen belt or something. Like they can withstand the radiation. They can withstand the radiation. Have you heard that before, Mark?
I've heard it from some of those individuals, yes, but in an official capacity,
Yeah.
I have not heard that.
Well, we don't ever hear anything from an official capacity with dogmen, do we? Like official, like government, or kind of messing with you there, but
Notice the silence.
yeah, I'm messing with you. Yeah, we don't get a whole lot of official word from the White House on that.
But I think it's all interesting,
Mhm.
and it could be, there could be something to that.
Yeah, um, I think so too. And because when we're talking about like portals and the radiation, I mean, my teams alone, like we carry Geiger meters and Geiger counters. We know there's a lot of radiation involved. So are they bred? If they're being here's a little an interesting question. Like if they are being bred and cloned and created in labs, are they? I mean, are they adding something to it to make them radiation, you know,
Resistant.
resistant? Yeah.
So, one of the things that I used to contemplate, and this is probably going to upset some people, but this is one of the things that I had thought about many years ago. There's a lot of things that I've thought about many years ago that you don't hear people talking a whole lot about, because you know seems to be the trend is you got you got people, and I hate to say this, but you got people, all they're worried about is being famous and making money. And there's nothing wrong with making money and being famous, but when that that becomes a fixture, and it becomes the means to an end, or the way that they navigate life, that's when it becomes kind of a problem. So basically, one of the things that I looked at, and what got me started on this, was you hear about um, people talking about eye shine with cryptids, and hearing them talk about amber and then red.
Mhm.
Well, I had an experience. I was watching a cryptid one night, and whatever it was, it started out. It had red eye shine. I mean, white eye shine, and it went from white to amber, and then it went from amber to red.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
that made me look at that experience and ask some questions.
Yeah.
And the question that came into my mind was, cats have eight eyelids, eight
I did not
layers,
know that.
eight layers of eyelids.
Wow.
And that's why if you have a cat that's perched up on their little roost,
Mhm.
they're going to sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
That's why it like takes them forever to close their eyes in a lot of time, in a lot of cases, is because they may close one or two of them, but they might not close them all.
What? I never do that.
And yeah, they're so
Interesting. I always learn something on these shows. I'll tell you.
it
Eyelids.
it made me ask the question if maybe these things weren't. It started out with the concept of them not being primates and being felines or cats or cat
Mhm.
people. Maybe they're cat people.
Well, actually, you know what's really wild too is like I've been seeing like these little videos people are making, questioning if cats are actually a mix between like a large cat and a snake, some kind
Hmm.
of weird genetic experiment. Yeah,
I hadn't seen that.
because they have the slit eyes like a snake, and their tails move like a snake, but they look like a big cat. Big
Hmm.
cats don't have slit eyes. I'm talking about domesticated house cats.
Yeah.
They have the slit pupils and stuff. Some of them, not all of them, I guess. So,
So my questioning on that developed and evolved from them just being feline beings or part
okay,
feline beings to them being like the ultimate of the ultimate, right?
okay.
The ultimate weapon from a weaponization standpoint. If you were going to make a humanoid type weapon, entity, being, creature, you would in essence take the best traits of all the animals out there and kind of meld it into one creature. It would have night vision, it would have thermal vision, it would have who's to say that these things aren't?
Cloaking.
Yeah, who's to say that these things aren't getting some kind of scientific augmentation? Because you think about it, they've got these thermal and night vision contacts out now.
Yeah.
Who's to say? And we know that everything that we get technologically has been out for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that at some point these things aren't being augmented with some kind of technology that allows them to have those abilities, or extra eyelids that allow them to do those things,
They
where
are. There's
where
no
they
way they're not
to
making
where they
those.
well, I'm just
There's
because
no
we do,
way
because we
they're
don't
not.
have proof, we have to live in the land of speculation
Mm-hmm.
because
Well,
we don't have documentation, and just look at it from that standpoint. But I would say that that's probably the case, because you can't tell me that if you're gonna, you know, back in the day, you had those paperclip scientists. They were trying to cross humans with primates,
oh yeah.
and you can't tell me that if they were going to make something as a weapon, that they didn't take the best of everything. Now, interestingly, there is an account that I was exposed to back in 2002 or three. I want to say there was a military service member that attempted to hunt one of these things down.
A Dogman.
He didn't know what it was,
Okay.
but he wanted to find out what it was. And when he went into the area down there, and this is down in your neck of the woods, I'll tell you after the show where it was at.
Okay.
But he went into this area, and he wedged himself into a tree ball that had kind of like an overhang and a small opening. And he sat there and waited. And basically, this thing came up to where he was at, and could see the major, from its neck down, or from its shoulders down.
Okay.
But that's
No
all he
head.
could see. No, he couldn't see its head because it was too tall. But he could see at least that much of it.
Wow.
And interestingly, he said this thing raised its arm up and squirted this stuff on him like a skunk would
Like an
spray.
armpit. He had an armpit squirty thing.
Yeah.
What?
And
That's not funny. That'd be terrifying. Maybe
I'm not,
that's where it peed from. I'm just saying. I don't know.
no,
What
he said
what
this
was
thing
it?
sprayed him. And it was a noxious liquid that it
Oh my
sprayed him
god.
with that was very akin to a skunk.
What?
But it was
Goodness.
terrible. It was terrible. It was so terrible that he was gagging and puking
Oh my god.
and was trying to get out of there, because he knew that if he didn't get out of there,
God, that's horrible, but it's funny. I'm sorry. That's weird.
that the thing was going to get him. And long story short, eventually he got to a point where he was able to get out of there, and he got out of there. He said after the thing sprayed him, it took off and
Squirty thing.
sprayed him like a
Okay.
skunk.
Well, okay. Was it covered in hair? Was it like a Bigfoot? Like, what was this thing?
Yeah, it was a Bigfoot.
It was a Bigfoot. Okay. Oh my god. That is wild. Well, it's adapted. I mean, that just unlocked a new. I don't want to say fear. I got I don't think I've ever gotten that close to having a big. I've wanted to be close to one where they'd step on me, but not to squirt you with some armpit stank, whatever that was.
BO spray.
I mean, they already smell bad. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the general consensus.
Maybe that's why they smell so bad, because they've got like some kind of weird squirty perspiration gland.
Well, I think that, like skunks, skunks, their spraying capability is a stress response in a lot of cases. Whenever you stress a skunk out, is when they spray.
Did you know that when humans get nervous, human sweat smells bad whenever you're nervous, as opposed to when you're just sweating from being hot?
Yeah.
There's a smell to it, like an odor to it. You can smell it. It stinks. That's how you can tell if somebody's nervous around you. I learned that when we were learning remote viewing. I learned that, and the only reason I knew it because the head of my team, the guy that would teach us remote viewing, he would give us tests all the time, and he was like, "Are you guys sweating?" We would get nervous. Like, did y'all not study for this? Okay. And that's how I learned that. So, anyways, wow, that's the first time I've ever heard about a Bigfoot actually squirting stinky stuff out of its armpit. So what did the guy? Okay, so he was wanting to hunt this thing. He was wanting to go hunt, or what? Like,
well,
he had the intention of shooting one.
No, he didn't. He wasn't in there under the precept of hunting this thing. He was in there under the precept of finding out what it was.
Oh, okay.
Because he could
Observing.
hear it. He could hear it, but he couldn't see it, and it would never come out to where he could see it. And then when he went into the area and got in, he was actually in a ghillie suit and was up in a tree root ball, under a tree root ball that tree fell over, and
Yeah, that's dangerous, man. I put a tent. One of the last, not one of the last times I went camping, but recently I was camping, and I put the tent near one of those root balls, like where the tree fell over. And I was so worried the whole time because there were snakes under there and stuff. It was a terrible place to put my tent. I was like, ugh. Yeah. Don't ever get in the root ball of a tree, y'all. It's not smart. Snakes. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, that's dangerous. But but the Bigfoot, whatever it was, knew that he was there.
Yeah.
Went and scared him off. I like this. Ryan C says maybe the smell is to track us or mark the area. Track us. Especially if it squirts you.
Well,
they're going to know where you are.
The description of how bad it was an incapacitating stench.
That's horrible. It's funny though, but it's horrible. We're learning. Yeah. I'll have to go back and tell the guys about that. I've never been told. I've never ever had a conversation. There are people in the chat though that are saying that the gorillas do that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Gorillas will do that. They have scent glands.
Well, maybe that Bigfoot was more like a primate in the woods kind of Bigfoot. I mean, maybe they all do that, I guess. But there's different varieties of Sasquatch, Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was the kind that's like more gorilla-like, and maybe they don't all do that. What do you think about that?
Well, the common perception about them is that they stink.
Yes.
And that you can smell them when they come up. Now, I have actually been around some that did not stink.
Yeah.
And it was but I've also been around some that did, and pretty bad.
Yes. Northwest Native Tractor says all musk animals will do that. Yeah. Man, that had to have been shocking. Something lit up his armpit and squirt stinkiness on him.
Yeah, he
Sorry, that's funny.
Bad.
Unreal Estate Agent 770, my Georgia friend, says, anyone ever heard of sweat smelling like honey? Serious question. I have not.
Now I do know and have heard that so there is a spice that exists out there that if you eat it regularly, it will make your sweat smell like maple syrup,
What is it?
and your urine smell like maple syrup.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually what is the name of that? I'll have to. I had it on the tip of my tongue just a second
You,
ago.
you never know what we're gonna learn on the Cryptid Hunters channel.
And actually,
Tell you what.
there's also a medical condition that causes that same thing, to where it makes that medical condition will make your urine smell like maple syrup. And
Hmm.
sometimes people that eat that spice, they get misdiagnosed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's.
Wow. We'll have to Google it at some
I'm
point, I
trying to
guess.
remember what it's
Yeah.
called. I
Is it
had
a
it on.
common spice?
Yeah, it's used a lot in India.
Curry?
No, it's fenugreek is what it is.
Fenugreek. All right, everybody, go stock up on your fenugreek if you want to smell like maple syrup. That is wild, man. I'm really learning a lot today on this one.
I'm a wealth of useless knowledge.
But that could come in. It could come into use. You know what I mean? And especially trying to, when we talk about Bigfoot, for example, and them smelling bad and stuff. I mean, a lot of times people smell bad because their diets. You can smell good from your diet too. Apparently,
Mhm.
yeah.
One of the questions I always like to ask people is how many teeth does a polar bear have?
I don't know how many.
42.
42.
Yep.
Okay. I don't get it, but I'm a little slow. I don't know about polar bears.
It's just a
Am I missing something?
no. It's just a random thing that I came across one day many years ago. That just
Oh, so that's how many teeth they really have. I
yeah
thought you were
yeah.
telling a joke. I
No, it's not a joke. It's for real.
was like, I don't know. 42, that's a lot of teeth.
Yeah.
It's a lot of teeth. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God. Eric says that my sweat definitely does not smell like honey. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know I don't know a whole lot of people whose sweat smells like honey. I don't. I've never heard of
I've
that before.
never I've never heard of anybody sweat smelling
Yeah.
like honey.
Oh my gosh. Well, I got to say, learning that a Bigfoot can just pull up its armpit and squirt something on you. I got to tell my son about that. Okay, my son's going to love this when I get off the show tonight. I'm going to put it in our group text with my team too and be like, do y'all know what? Have y'all not told me about this armpit squirt thing? Okay. Oh my gosh. I don't even remember what we were talking about before this, but
actually, it was very, very, very surprising to hear about that. I was very surprised to hear that. I had never heard that before.
oh my gosh, I had not either. Oh my goodness. Andrew, thank you so much. That was very sweet of you, Andrew. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being an amazing moderator too, Andrew. I do appreciate you very much. That's very sweet. Thank you for your support in every way. I appreciate it. Andrew always likes my Instagram. He's one of 3 people that will like my Instagram posts. Thank you, Andrew. Loyalty and dedication right there, and I love it. Thank you. So sweet. Okay. Is this the same one? Different. Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Is that a different one?
That would be 21 on each, I believe.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. You're so sweet. Okay. Was there a question? 42. Oh, he's asking about the polar bear teeth. So there's 12 on top and 10 on the bottom.
That's only 22.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. Y'all are hilarious. Thank you again, Andrew, though. I do appreciate it so much. Man. Well, I can't even focus on anything but an armpit squirt thing now. So we're going to have to probably just shut the show down here in a minute because I've got a lot to think about tonight.
Yeah.
I have so much to think about now.
I've imbued a wealth of worthless knowledge.
Golly, I'm gonna have to do a whole show on armpit squirt things. Okay, so well, here's something else. While I've got it on my mind, you're talking about like the technology that what we're showing right now is like way behind what they've had for a while, and we're talking about like the contact lenses and stuff like that. Well, Eric's in the chat right now from the Bizarre and the Unknown. You guys go subscribe on YouTube, please, over on his channel. We did a show on Glimmer Man. Okay, Glimmer Man. Now that is something that I believe Glimmer Man. Okay, we've seen the movie Predator versus Alien. Okay, and we see this thing. It's like I've experienced something like this before in the woods. I've experienced something like that in my house before, a long time ago, and it's almost like I call it a disturbance in the atmosphere. Is the way I used to describe it. And it's like a person, an entity. It's something you can't really see it. It's almost like a disturbance in the atmosphere. That's the only way I can describe it. But see, like, what if it's not just like an entity or a disturbance in the atmosphere? What if it's a person wearing some kind of cloaking technology or something? I think that could be like this. It could be like technology that we're seeing. It could be humans using it. Could be technology they've put on Bigfoot and they put on Dogmen. Like these assets and stuff that are out there. I mean, where does the rabbit hole ever end?
Or it could be technology that's being put on humans to make them look like
Dogmen and Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Holographic technology, too. Golly. I'll tell you what, y'all.
Never know.
Yeah. You do leave this show leaving with more questions and answers, don't you? We always do.
Well, if you don't, you need to go ahead and lay down, turn it.
Get on. Get out of here.
Get on out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, none of us have any of this figured out, y'all. If you can't tell, we really don't. It's just a matter of getting the information, sharing information, and just, tucking it away. And maybe it'll help you with the next thing we experience and talk about. I don't know. This is wild. This is wild. I love this. It's been another fun show today. Oh, yeah. It's always fun, Mark. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me back on.
Of course. Well, I guess we started off talking about hunting dogmen, then it turned into love and kumbaya, and then we ended off with a Bigfoot squirting stuff out of his armpit. And we talked about some other stuff too, but man, this is always fantastic. No better way to spend our Saturday nights here than at the Cryptid Hunters channel, hanging out. And man, we've had a wonderful chat today. Let's see if there's any questions or anything. I do want to give a huge birthday shout out to Larry Sharp. I bet he's partying in the woods tonight with Bigfoot, because I haven't seen him in the chat tonight. But I do want to say happy birthday to Larry Sharp tonight. And Larry's awesome. Larry called in to Coast when I was on there with George Norrie, and was one of the callers. Him and Drewski called in too, one of my buddies. But he called in. He was the first caller that night. He must have sat there and waited and stuff for a while, and that always meant a lot to me. So happy birthday to Larry Sharp tonight. And anyways, yeah, I got some good friends, man. Good friends out here. And Mark, where can everybody find you? You want to tell everybody about your YouTube channel and your website and stuff?
Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel. It's under Cryptidville, and I can't remember what the numbers are, but it's under Cryptidville. And then I've got a website. It's cryptidville.com. Yeah, been a while since I've updated any content. I do have a real job outside.
You got a real job. You got a daytime job, right?
Outside of YouTube and my website.
Remember back when I had a real job. It's been a while. Yeah. Yeah. You're a busy man. That's why I'm always excited when you can come and join me on a show especially on a Saturday night. Yeah. That's when I try to grab you. Bring you on.
The weekends are usually free, so I'm always happy to help out where I can.
Well, thank you. Yes, this show content is for entertainment purposes only. Yes, we don't want anybody thinking that Bigfoot squirting things out of their armpit is not entertaining. Oh my God. I love that. Man, thank you so much for that. Yeah. Well, do you have any final thoughts? Cryptoville, aka Mark?
I guess my final thought would be, if you go on Cryptid Hut, take an umbrella to shield from the Bigfoot blast.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. That's really funny. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. You had to say that. I'm trying to keep it together over here. Okay. That is so funny, y'all. Yeah, take an umbrella.
There's always more where that came from.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, I always learn something new, y'all. I always learn something new.
Serious.
Oh man. Deep breath. All right, I gotta shut the show down. Everybody, I hope y'all enjoyed the show tonight as much as I did. This has been so fun tonight. And yeah, please be safe out there, y'all. And I'll be back here on Monday. Okay. I'll be back here on Monday. And we do have a great week of shows next week lined up for you guys. And yeah, you know what my favorite thing to do is to like integrate everything that I learn. It's like my future shows. So don't be surprised if we have a show about Bigfoot sweating, and y'all know what I'm going to talk about. Okay. But anyways, thank you guys so much for all the support tonight too. Oh my gosh, that means the world to me. Everybody who gave super stickers, and Kent, Skip, make sure don't forget anybody. Terry, Mad Pax, and Andrew. Thank you so much, Andrew. That's so sweet. And I did have one question that I wanted to address. Ron Dale was asking, have I ever done rod beings in like covered rods and stuff? I have not, I don't think. So that's something we can add to the list for like remote viewing targets and stuff. So thank you. You know who has covered those are Gerald and Jane of Midwest Night Watchers. So go over to their channel, Ron, and Midwest Night Watchers on YouTube, and they have covered rods. They have them on their cameras at their house and stuff. So awesome. All right, y'all. I gotta go. This is too funny. I'm sweating. Okay. I started sweating over that. So everybody have a wonderful night. I hope you all learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. Please be safe. Don't live in fear. Live in awareness and keep your head on a swivel, y'all. Have a great night. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. We do have the best chat on the internet, hands down, especially on YouTube. All right, y'all. Have a great night. And Mark, thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me. Y'all
All right,
have a great night.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all Monday. Bye, y'all.